I also work as a general manager of infrastructure in a telecommunication firm called Phase 3 Telecom, and I chair the IEEE Humanitarian Activities Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Latif. And now, tackling our topic from the real estate perspective, I would like to introduce Mr. Ahmed El Morsi, Mountain View Head of Innovation Development. Hello, Mr. Ahmed, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is Ahmed El Morsi, and I head the innovation section for Mountain View. And for the attendees who doesn't know who Mountain View is one of the leading real estate developers in Egypt and the region. We have around 60,000 clients that live in our compounds. So this is a topic that's very close to our heart, and I think Yahya as well with me as our director of information technology, who's really responsible for all developing all the smart communities within Mountain View. Yahya.
Hello, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Hello. Yes, Yahya, do you?
Yeah, you want me to introduce myself? This is Yahya Al-Shaib. I'm the director of IT for Mountain View. As Ahmed said, Mountain View is one of the leading companies in the real estate market in Egypt. We are doing our best to enhance our clients' life and to present and to develop and to deliver the needed IT solutions in order to ease their lives and to enable any aspects that is needed for their life on a daily basis and in the future.
All right, thank you so much. Tackling our topic from the local ICT perspective, I would like to introduce Mr. Ahmed El Muwallid, ZAD Solutions Managing Partner. Hello, Mr. Ahmed, you have the floor. Mr. Ahmed, you're muted.
Okay, hi Farah, thank you for the introduction. I'm Ahmed El Muwallid, the Managing Partner and CEO of ZAD Solutions. We've been working in digital transformation for around 20 years now. And today I will be covering the topic from an angle that actually usually wasn't in my scope, but I think it's very important, which is the disabled people and the minorities. So this is an important part in the digital inclusion that we always need to focus on too. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed, and thank you all for this enlightening introduction. To start off, please kindly note that each speaker has 2 to 3 minutes to answer each question in order to abide by the timing of our talk. And if any of the audiences have any question, please write it down in the chat box and we're going to answer them all. All right, so speaking of how important digital inclusion is and how critical it is. So Mr. Ahmed El Morsi, can you please tell us why digital inclusion is important, why it doesn't matter, and why is it very critical?
Well, I think we live in a life now where most of our lives depend on digital solutions. And if the last year has been any, an eye-opener for all of us, is that we can't survive without having technology as a big arm for both business and lifestyle. But also, we at Mountain View look at it from a different angle. So it's not only about providing the basic solutions for our clients. We have, for the last 5 to 6 years, we have been looking at technology from the happiness point of view. And we wanted to give our clients this completely different experience when it comes to technology dependency. We want them to be able to utilize technology to connect more on a real life rather than just connect on a virtual way. So we have been working on different solutions with different partners, like Delivering Happiness is one of our biggest companies that we work with on utilizing different smart solutions that actually provide sort of the link between the virtual immersive life and the real life that we can provide to our clients. We always say that smart is the way, but happiness is the destination. We can't live our life only virtually. We are social animals. We need all our 6 senses utilized, not only the seeing and hearing people via Zoom, but also the fact of actual seeing and hearing and feeling people. So we have been doing lots of platform. I think Yahya can talk a little bit more about the actual technology that we have been providing for our clients. But in terms of the way we look at technology from a lifestyle point of view, rather than just a platform for people to utilize.
Yes.
So, in regards to the technology which we are trying to use, we are selecting the best and the state-of-the-art solutions from each technology provider in order to provide the smooth, the easy, and the fast broadband internet for each and every client, in addition to the solutions and the platform that supports their requirements in order to meet the happiness destination, as Ahmed said.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mrs. Chantal Sabbagh, do you think that actually digital inclusion or digital transformation can achieve any of the SDGs, the sustainable development goals?
Yes, of course, it contributes. It doesn't help alone achieve it, but it contributes. And allow me, from my position here in National Bank of Egypt, I would like to start considering first financial inclusion before starting talking about digital inclusion. They are very, very much related, especially with this era where everyone in the street, they have a smartphone in hand. Mm-hmm. So, of course, this is not a discussion specifically about SMEs, but this is a discussion about inclusion in general, financial first, then digital will be the way to achieve it. So when we come and think about financial inclusion today in the bank, I can achieve my financial inclusion goals with digital. However, being the National Bank of Egypt, Bank Ahl Masr, of course, I cannot come and say all of a sudden that I can shift my language to 100% digital and create platforms and engage on very high tech. Of course, this suits and help a big chunk of my clients, but it doesn't for another big part of my clients, especially that with National Bank of Egypt, our mandate is to spread and serve in all cities, in the rural areas, the urban areas. So with 570 branches, sometimes it's very difficult to say that, even though we know that the digital inclusion is the solution, that and I just can't come and say now that without it I can't work, or I can't say that I can achieve it in 1 year. These are very far-fetched ideas and goals, not ideas, I mean implementable ideas in the short term. But of course, on the longer term, definitely this will be the way to scale, to spread, to reach as many people as possible. So I don't believe that it's only right for us in NBE to go and develop everything ourselves, but the right approach will be in creating strategic partnerships and to engage more strategic partners in the market, whether in digital, whether in financial, whether to brainstorm more in, we need to have a more inclusive approach, even with stakeholders, not only with beneficiaries.
Yes, for sure. It's basically inclusion in all aspects, not only digital inclusion. All right, so Mr. Ahmed Al-Muwallid, as you stated before, tackling the topic from the perspective of the disabled people, can you please tell us how are the disabled people addressed when it comes to digital transformation?
Okay. Disabled people are rarely addressed when it comes to digital transformation. I mean, very little is done, especially for the disabled people. But luckily, the digital transformation itself makes life much easier, not for us only, also for the disabled people. So automatically, when we talk about digital transformation, it helps the inclusion of the disabled people in the community. And this is an important part of our topic today. We've seen in the last couple of years during the pandemic how everything became much easier digitally, online shopping, with all the new apps coming out. So again, luckily, it gets them the services much easier. And it opened also much more opportunities that I will tackle later. But yet they need some more specific tools to make them more able to use these new applications and new digital technologies.
Sure, thank you so much. All right, so Mr. Abdul Latif, can you please tell us, we all know that trying inclusion or trying to reach something new has a lot of challenges. So can you please tell us more about the challenges that the governments are facing to reach these people?
All right, thank you very much, Farah, for that question. And just like everyone has said, this is very, very important discussion we're having. But before I touch base with what the government are facing, I would like for us to first of all understand the challenges associated with digital inclusion as a whole. As it stands now, there's a statistics that said the world is about 3.9 billion people not connected to the internet. And apart from that, even in the urban areas that we think were already penetrated, just about 28% of the urban area are connected. So you see, there's heavy work to be done in terms of all-inclusive community where we're connected digitally. So for the 4 key things, when you talk about digital inclusion, you talk about the access, number 1. And then you talk about the usage, you touch about the digital skills, and you talk about then the innovation that forms part of it. But at the core of all this, you have the connectivity, which is number 1. So if you break the connectivity into 3 parts, you see that access is part of it. And for you to have access, there need to be stable electricity, there need to be optical fiber connections in the backbone, in the access layer, you need to have the wireless connectivity or the 3G, 4G that I talked about. But when you look into all these points one by one in terms of access, you know, the government have a lot of capital invest to ensure that there is stable electricity, for example. The government have a lot to invest to make sure that the MNOs or the telecoms provider that will take the fiber to a location that is not connected is motivated to do so, because most of them don't even have to go there when there's no profit for them to make in some area. So you have some diverse group that is well connected, and some are suffering because the telecom industry doesn't have the motivation to go there, and there's no subsidy provided by the government. So these are all things, even some of the things that makes some of the places not to be connected. Then you talk about the digital skills. Digital skills, for people to be able to access this, they need connectivity. You have a lot of resources online, but without connectivity, it can't get to them. Then you now talk about usage. How do you convince the normal man on the street that, okay, your data is safe or you're protected? So security issues coming. So all these are combined towards the government, and the government can't solve that alone. It has to be all inclusive. So everybody, every stakeholder have to get involved to be able to, you know, tackle this problem. For me, I would just describe it as a big elephant in the room, because even in Africa, the agenda set to resolve this, it's targeted at 2063. Mm-hmm. So we still have about 4 decades to move towards achieving it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Latif, for this enlightening talk. All right, so Mrs. Chantel, getting back to the financial sector, can you please tell us how does the financial sector react to this need?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you well. Can you repeat the question?
Can you please tell us how does the financial sector react to this need? Can you hear me?
Sorry, most of the talk was disappearing a bit. Can you repeat?
All right, can you hear me right now, Mrs. Chantal?
Yes, go ahead, please.
All right, can you please tell us how does the financial sector react to this need?
Well, the financial sector, well, I can't talk about the whole financial sector. Let me talk about the NBE.
All right.
From our side, the financial, or even if we want to discuss the financial sector
Actually,
in
part
general,
of
as
the
I told
financial
you.
sector, yeah. Mrs. Chantal? All right, it looks like she lost connection. All right, so we're going to go to another question until she comes back. All right, so Mr. Ahmed El Morsi, can you please tell us how does the real estate reacts to this need?
Let me answer this question on behalf of Ahmed. As this is one of our main core arms. Real estate companies are using digital platforms now to present products, designs, innovation ideas, layouts, furnishing, and spacing in order to deliver the digital or the digitization of the products they are selling. Also, they are now using the online platforms to book and reserve units for the payments. I believe that in the near future, all developers will be using the digital platforms end-to-end cycle, starting by the booking, payments, and also until delivery. For sure, delivery, product delivery must be in physical way, but I think that the paperwork, the payments, all the process will be on digital basis. Then the physical delivery will be at a later stage. And this might be increasing the market and enhancing the experience of the clients, which I believe that it became now one of the major things due to the pandemic as well, which we are facing. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Yahya. All right, getting back.
If I may add just a sec, something to what Yahya was saying, real estate has also a social responsibility to be able to try to help governments and localities in actually developing not only their residential or commercial compounds, but also the areas around them. Sometimes, and we see that a lot in developing countries in particular, but also in big economies, is one of the things that forces governments or entices governments, as Mr. Abdul Latif was saying, in actually connecting an area is because a big developer sort of starts a project in that area. So when they do that, it's not only entices the government to start connecting this space or this locality, but it makes them try to develop the areas around them. So most of the real estate developers have a big CSR arm, which works on so many different things, including digital inclusion. We are building houses and offices and hospitals and hotels for the newer generation. We're building something now that's going to be used for 50 to 60 years for actual people who were born with mobile in their hands. They were not really They don't know paper anymore. So making sure that we develop things that actually work is timeless, and it provides these clients with the actual product that they need is a very important thing for any real estate developer.
It is. All right, thank you, Mr. Ahmed and Morsi. Getting back to the factor of the disabled people, Mr. Ahmed Al-Muwallid, can you please tell us, we all know that the pandemic accelerated digital transformation in many ways. So do you think, whether the industries or services, do you think that the pandemic or this actually opened more opportunities for the disabled people? Can you please unmute yourself, Mr. Ahmed?
Yes, I believe the time of the pandemic taught us a lot about how to use the new opportunities. I'll start by telling you something that I noticed during the early days of the lockdown. We had all to work remotely from home. It was a big transformation for us all. We used to have daily meetings with the team, with everyone in the team, to make sure everything's going okay. I noticed that one of the team members in my company, every day, whether it's in the morning, in the evening, at night, he had the same background in the Zoom meeting. It's the headboard of his bed. So he spent the whole time in the same place doing his work. And actually, work was done very good. This made me think of something. We didn't think of hiring disabled people in the company because of lack of the infrastructure, because of the problems, everything like that.
All right.
But now the pandemic has shown us that actually people don't have to move from their place to do a lot of work. I mean, in the area of software development, some consulting jobs, a lot of services like translation, like copywriting. I believe we should focus on the disabled people first before focusing on other people, because this is now their opportunity. And actually, what happened in the pandemic is not going to roll back. Everybody is looking now for remote work opportunities. This will last with us for tens of years to come. So this should open a very big opportunity for them. And this is something that we have to capitalize on.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Al-Muwallid. I believe it is such a great initiative for helping the disabled people in your company. Mr. Abdul Latif, can you please share with us some of the success stories in the different regions regarding the topic?
All right, thank you very much, Farah. And I think it's very important for us to know that COVID really helped accelerate digital inclusion, at least to some percentage. And we've seen successes coming out from different places. I would like to mention one story, which is very dear to my heart. You see, before COVID, a lot of people would be like, okay, we'll go to class, to room to learn. And when COVID came and the classroom moved to online, and you see even kids were taught at home, using this digital technology that we have. But it's not all inclusive. But the success story is the fact that telecommunications company, service provider, big MNOs have stepped up to provide some kind of, let me just say, acceleration towards achieving this. IBM has come up with something they call the Digital Nation Africa, where everybody can have free access to digital skills online, depending on what you want to do. The Cisco's have come up with something they call the Cisco Academy, where people can as well access free content to do that. But this is when you have the computer, the mobile devices, and whatever to access them. So these things, we have other companies that do provide seed funding to make sure that internet penetration is increased. And government have given out funding to serve like a kind of compensation to motivate the MNOs to move towards the unconnected areas. So you have a lot of grants being provided by the African Union, the ITU, to make sure that projects are done to connect even universities to secondary school to tertiary school. There's a school in Rwanda whereby all pupils and students were provided with tablets. So these are some of the successes we've recorded, but there's still a long way to go, and it has to involve everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Latif. Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Ahmed Al Mursi, can you please tell us, in your opinion, how can digital inclusion be improved?
Well, I'm not an IT or a telecommunication background at all. I'm not an architect by education, but
not
what
the
I can
parts, more of the implementation parts, not the technicalities.
Yes, definitely, and Yahya can jump in whenever he feels comfortable. But I actually feel that there is a big gap in most markets, whether especially in the Middle East, in terms what the actual people needs and what companies are working on. There is this. Some startups has started to actually address these needs, but big companies has always been looking at the bottom line and the profit, which sometimes does not really match the actual end user need. But we need to make sure that we don't only look at our clients and ourselves, but also how to include some of the people who are on the margins of this digital revolution that we're facing right now. In the US, there is a big thing that's happening now. It's called the Great Resignation. And one of the reasons of that is companies now for the last year and a half has been working remotely from home, from wherever. You can work from anywhere. But now companies are asking people to come back to work full time, but they're not giving them the flexibility or the freedom to choose how to work. So people are saying, no, I'm not going to do that. They're resigning in spades right now. And that's because that the people who takes decisions has sort of disconnection with what the people need. So this needs matching needs to happen more rapidly in order for us to include more and more people in that.
Interesting. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Al Mursi. Mr. Yahya, would you like to add anything?
I would like to add also as well for this part of achievement for the digital inclusion. It's more into about trust between the client and the seller for any product. I'm not meaning the estate only. If the trust is available, then I believe that solutions and creativity of the solutions development will be in place. Accordingly, it will help the digital inclusion achievement as well.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Farah.
All right, Mr. Abdul Latif, can you please tell us, in your opinion, how can digital literacy be improved? How can people actually learn the digitalization world if they don't know how to use digital products or platforms?
All right, thank you very much, Farah. The truth is everything can be learned, and it all depends on the approach and how we intend to carry out this. First of all, you have to make sure that the issue of trust between these users is addressed. In terms of the data privacy, we have to convince them that, okay, your data is secured and this is it, just to make sure you get the buy-in. Once you have the buy-in, you have to now empower them with the tools for them to be able to access them. So you start at elementary level, the middle level, and even the expert level, because everybody will continue to learn. And at the elementary level, you have to teach them the basic skills, how to use the computer, how to be able to, access them, join the social media, use the internet, do some troubleshooting. At the middle level, you have to teach them on advanced skills like how to be able to do coding and also be able to protect themselves. Then at the topmost level, you have to provide that room for innovation, where people will be able to develop the digital tools, digital interactions, and all that for different stakeholders. So innovation has to come in. So you provide the access, you provide the platform, you provide the collaboration for innovation. So if all this is done, you see that these things will improve. Then you have to take it to the grassroots. You develop curriculum that suits them, that will help them empower in this sort of thing that we want to do. And at the policy level, policy have to be flexible, of course. So you do policy to make other investors feel comfortable. And with all these in place, definitely it has to be everybody getting involved with the government in the core. So government will provide policy that makes people comfortable, and also the respective stakeholder will make sure that they are doing it in line with the set objective and target to make sure that everybody is included. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Latif. All right, Mr. Ahmed Al-Muwallid, in your opinion, are there any efforts that should be done in order to reach digital inclusion?
Actually, a lot of efforts are being done. It's organically growing because of how the market is working. Technically, we have a lot of startups that are tackling all the ideas you can think of when it comes to digital services. Mm-hmm. The government is currently much more dynamic than ever. They're getting laws signed to ease all the digital services. The government is focusing, as Ms. Chantal said, on the financial inclusion, which is actually accelerating the digital inclusion, because it can't go without the digital part. The users themselves are getting more and more used to using the digital services, but actually not as fast as the other stakeholders want. Maybe they need more motivation, and the motivation is coming with some services like the financial services. Now with the lending opportunities, people have to go to get digitally lent. They're using credit cards more with the new things that the government is offering. So I believe it all comes in with motivation, not awareness, nothing like that. When they see real value, it goes very fast. We should continue like that. We should continue offering more services with the actual needs of the end user, tackling the actual needs of the end user, and it will organically grow.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Al-Muwallid. Of course, motivation has a great impact in anything any person wants to achieve. I would like to remind the audience, if they have any questions, please write them down in the chat box. And now that the call is coming to an end, I would like to listen to a key message from each speaker regarding the topic. Can we start by Mr. Ahmed Al-Muwallid?
Okay. I believe the topic of the digital inclusion was not tackled a lot lately, so the topic is very important. It's new for most of the people. I believe it's the most important thing right now everywhere. And it will continue like that. It won't stop. Yani we are in the era, the digital era. It's going very fast. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ahmed Al-Muwallid. Mr. Abdul Latif.
Yeah, the topic is very, very apt. And, you know, if you want to tackle a problem, you need to tackle it step by step. So if someone gives you an elephant to eat, how do you eat it? You just have to make sure that you're able to cut the meat in bits by bits, and you go on with the objective that at the end of it, you'll be able to consume everything. So what I would say is every stakeholder have to get involved. More data centers have to be built, especially here in Africa. And connectivity gap need to be bridged between the urban and the rural so that everybody is connected. And the required relevant skills need to be brought to these people, and the issue of trust have to be addressed, really. So without trust, people can use the system. And when they begin to trust the system, you have to make sure that everything that is required to fortify the system is provided. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be on Mr. Sif.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdul Latif. Mr. Ahmed Al-Mursi, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Farah. As my fellow speakers were saying, this is a very important topic, and from the private sector point of view, we think that digital inclusion is a very important thing, because not only because of the bottom line of a company, but also because of the opportunities that it opens for such companies to have more clients, and also to have more impact on the people that uses the company's products, but also the people who sort of on the fringe of that. We can't continue with as a community, as a society, we can't continue with just providing services for certain people while ignoring a different sector of the community. We need to be able to provide services for everyone. And as Mr. Abdul Latif was talking about, the fact that teaching our kids from younger generation, and they're very savvy, they learn TikTok from the age of 1, but we don't provide them with a platform that can teach them the other aspects of technology. It's not only about social media, it's not only about sharing videos or photos, but there is coding, like Mr. Abdul Latif was saying, like creating something new, like being part of a community. Right now, the community that they are feeling that they're part of is the social media community. We need to take them out of there. We need to put them in another platform that helps them develop and create and innovate and become part of a general population that provides digital for inclusion for everyone. And lastly, thank you for having us in this talk, and it's such an important topic to talk about. Thank you, Farah.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Al-Mursi. It's our pleasure. All right, now that Mrs. Chantal is back again, we're sorry for what happened. She had a technical problem. Let me get back to the question that we were talking about concerning the financial sector. Can you please tell us how could this be improved?
Okay, can you tell me please what was the now that my connection is better and I can hear you all well? I struggled very, very much to hear the whole discussion of my colleagues. So if you can please tell me what is it that you want to know the impact about, or how can the financial sector react to? Nothing was clear from all the previous discussions from my colleagues. So please summarize and tell me exactly what's the financial, yeah.
We're tackling basically the topic from different perspectives. So we want to know, how does the financial sector react to this need, the need of digital inclusion?
Well, the financial sector, let me tell you a brief about what's happening in the banking sector at the moment. All the banking sector is reacting extremely positive to the initiatives of the Central Bank of Egypt. Now that the Central Bank of Egypt is very, very focused on financial inclusion, digital transformation automatically becomes part of it if we really want to scale and if we want to outreach to the maximum, okay? So maybe this is not related directly to SMEs or equity or debt financing, but it's related to more of the inclusion topic in general for youth and for gender and for any economic activity. The financial sector can never work alone, as I mentioned previously. It needs to partner in a very smart way with people with know-how, with people with experience and outreach who can add to this sector. And this part specifically, I'm talking about NBE and not another bank. All the inclusion efforts today cannot exclude the digital part because as I said earlier, everyone has a smartphone in hand. Now, the trick is how to find the right security, the right processes, the right communication channel, the right platform to gather all stakeholders on one part to add to this. So the financial part, even though banks are extremely liquid and they are looking forward to finance and trying, and we also hear the other side from the private sector that they're not able to get good financing, debt financing from banks, especially on the startup and youth sides. So there is always this very big gap between both, and to solve this gap will never be from one side. So communication is key with partners and stakeholders. I see, coming from my previous job, I used to work at the EBRD, so I used to have a more hands-on experience with many different banks at the same time, among which NBE. So coming from this side, I can see today that there is a big appetite to engage, to learn, to communicate with different stakeholders. Maybe this wasn't very common at the beginning, but with the CBE initiative, we have to collaborate and we have to capitalize on best practices and international best practices. So I see that the floor is very open for communication and for approach. I mean, every stakeholder with a common or a new, not a common approach, I mean, with a new approach that can contribute to the financial and digital inclusion will be very welcome by any bank, and especially under this the CBE initiative. But the point here is not one part, it's like more on a collaboration basis. Round tables need to increase. Round tables with clear mandates, not with not with topics that cannot be realized. We need to have very focused topics to launch and to discuss with competition, and many banks on the same table, many organizations in the same field. So it's not a game of who will catch and start first, because this is a national mandate. It's much bigger than any competition.
True.
I hope I answered your question. I'm very sorry that I missed most of the discussion. I don't even know if I'm relevant.
You are, and you actually answered another question I was going to ask right away, which is how do you think digital inclusion can be improved? And you actually stated points in order to improve digital inclusion. So thank you so much for this enlightening response.
You're welcome.
And now, Mrs. Chantal, we were talking about that we need to listen to a key message regarding the talk, and how do you think these things could be implemented?
As I told you, it will start from brainstorming sessions.
Yes.
It will start from a base where everyone agrees on a specific policy to enhance. It will capitalize on tens and hundreds of projects related to youth, gender, digital that have been in place for the past 5-6 years.
Yes.
A lot of efforts from international donors has been exerted. Many projects have expired, but everything had proper reporting, but everything ended when the projects ended. You see my point? So we need someone to gather best practices, to create a benchmark where we're standing at the moment. A lot of discussions, bilateral discussions between organizations are going. You need to have this more like one voice, to put it on the table, to start agreeing on parameters, to be focused, because as you can see, our market is very virgin. towards this digital transformation. It's very, very virgin. So it's very easy to be distracted in all that. You can't fix the globe in one policy. So we need to prioritize first, think exactly where we want to go, follow the CBE guidelines, and accordingly start to run in one direction, gathering as many stakeholders as possible, focusing on the same objective.
Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Chantal. Mr. Yahya, would you like to add a key message for the audience? All right, looks like Mr. Yahya lost connection, I guess. Mr. Ahmed Morsi would like to say something?
No, I think Yahya has lost connection, so that's why I was saying.
All right, it's all right. Okay, so speaking again about the importance of digital inclusion and tackling it from different perspectives, we come to a common ground and a common point, which is people and different sectors must include together in order to reach digital inclusion and in order to reach anything in general. So the importance of digital inclusion can actually help different sectors from different perspectives. This is why digital inclusion matters. And this is why digital inclusion matters in order to reach smart communities. As Mr. Ahmed Al-Morsi said, smart is the way, happiness is the destination. I would like to quote this from you, Mr. Ahmed Al-Morsi. I would like to state again the importance of digital inclusion. And as Mrs. Chantal stated before, and Mr. Ahmed Al-Morsi and Mr. Abdul Latif, the answers were all common towards the aspect of inclusion within different stakeholders. And as CETA would like to look forward for different partners and different collaborations with different stakeholders. And I would like to thank Mr. Ahmed Al-Morsi for this talk, and Mr. Ahmed Al-Muwallid and Mr. Abdul Latif, I'm sorry, and Mrs. Chantal. And I would like to thank all audience. I was so honored to be moderating today's talk, and thank you all for this fruitful talk. It was very nice meeting you.
Thank you, Farah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Farah.
Thanks,
And it's nice to be on the panel with the respective Ahmed Morsi and Ahmed Al-Maulid, Yahya Al-Shahed, and our beautiful sister Chantal, even though we didn't see your face. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to meet you. I've met you all. Thank you.
Thank you
you.
all.